X's autobiography, he talks about how the antebellum white man tricked his own woman into believing that he, the white man, needed to let out his most animalistic sexual desires on the slave black woman because, his woman, the white woman, was above that and should be held at a high standard, while the black woman was below that and was made to satisfy his lowest desires. Malcolm further identified how in his personal pimp days that taste for the sexuality of black women in a raw animalistic way was now an underground addiction that many white-collar white men enjoyed secretly in whorehouses, crossing many racial barriers to satisfy the addiction, cheating on their own women. Now, it's no secret that one of the biggest devastating aspects of African-American culture is black people's acceptance of white America's historical idea of us, but in a cool, fun way. We're not niggers. That's racist. That's old. We're niggas, which is more trendy. We put some seasoning on it with some lyrics and a few dance steps, and we resell it to each other. And we sell it to others. Well, could it be that what is deemed as sexual liberation for our women is truly getting them to accept an idea of themselves, which was rooted before any of us was even born? Has America finally perfected in us its idea of the hypersexualized black woman and girls who can meet your most animalistic desires, but most importantly, bust it open and twerk it out with pride? 13-year-old girls who are hot and ready. On one day, we're screaming black women are not protected, while at the same time promoting a culture that makes them the most accessible, or at least appear to be the most accessible in the most sexual ways. Now, with this subject, the first mistake we can make is to allow the images portrayed of our women to make us believe that all of our women are one way. This can be the farthest from the truth. The next mistake is to ignore the reality that this image is what's most advertised and promoted of our women, and we need balance today.
Yeah, Shan. So there was actually two things that I did disagree with. I think that is a different reason why black women are hypersexualizing themselves today. And that was why I disagree with that. And we don't have very much to go on as far as what white men are attracted to and what they're seeking at this point, except aside from dating apps, right? That would give you, I guess, the most accurate data. And well, okay, we could. What do you want to use?
White men to tell you straight up, and we could, we could just look at the observable.
That's anecdotal. That's anecdotal, though, right? Because
he
there are some white men who will and some won't.
Trev, he wasn't speaking about relationships. He was speaking purely from a sexual stance. And most what
is dating apps right now? They're not relationships. They're like right now they're hookup spots. That's what
so he was speaking from the aspect of selling pussy. And transactional sexual relationships, and he was saying a specific demographic of white collar white males are,
and they've been doing that. White men have been doing that, and white men sexualize the black, and so now has it happened so long for so many decades, year after year after year, that black women basically has, accepted their position in the world as just being sluts. Pretty much, and that's what he was kind of saying. But he was originally saying that white. But then when you first spoke the last time, Trev, you was saying you don't think that men do that. And I'm just thinking, no, that's what he said, white men. So that's all I wanted to point out. I don't think that we do that, but I do believe white guys fetishize and look at black women sexually, but as Susie Homemaker, hell no. But they could be also conditioned over years and years and listen to their fathers and their grandfathers and their uncles and and all that about how they feel about black women. And so suddenly you get to this point of 2024 that black women gotta bust it open, gotta be sexual, gotta twerk, gotta do all the extra sexual shit, and then the white guys gotta look at her as a sexual being, and then fuck it, the rest of us might as well do it too. So
yeah, I understand that, but the only reason I'm saying that, I think, for reason is there was a time period between that after slavery and for what we have today where it was not nearly as prominent. Women were not over-sexualizing themselves as they are now.
The white man was still buying them as prostitutes, like in the fetish community, because that's why I said that the dating statistics won't work. What he was speaking to is sexual fetishization, and that's You know what? I would go as far as to say that black men get sexually fetishized about too, as well. That's what the whole
You know,
BDC
hell yeah, we do.
Sure.
and and yeah. No, go ahead, Shem. You got it. I lost my train of thought.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just ad lib. I'm saying I'm supporting you. Yeah, we of course black men are fetishized by a lot of people. You know, just the fucking the buck, big dick, put it down, and you know I can't. You know, watch Pornhub. Just go 10 minutes on
Well,
Pornhub. Go to
you was in the service, so I know you know firsthand. You was in the service,
People
so
fetishize
you know
whoever
once
they don't
you
have
stepped
easy
when you
access
stepped
to.
on another continent, you already know. Is that correct, Shannon?
Yeah, it was black for real. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
I think people tend to fetishize whatever isn't in their culture, right? So white guys might fetishize black women, they fetishize Asian women too. Asian women fetishize black and white men. Everybody fetishizes what's not immediately around them because it's intriguing. It's like, oh well, what's that? Like even niggas, when we talk about white girls, oh yo, Becky can suck the chrome off the Chevy. Like there's this idea in our mind that white girls suck dick better. We don't know that for a fact. But I don't know that for a fact. I don't mess with white girls. But what I'm saying is like that fetishization simply exists because they're not part of our culture. So the things that they do in their culture will seem appealing. Like for example, in our culture, our women are thick. That's the normal part of our culture. In their culture, their women are skinny. So when they see our women, they're gonna be like, yo, all that ass, all them titties, yo, they must be more sexual. But it's really just a
Cloud, you ain't
cultural
been to
difference.
Oklahoma. They
Nah, I
get
haven't.
big, but no, real
Shan,
quick,
you
I
like
just
that
want
thick
to,
shit? You like that thick shit, Shan?
if y'all don't mind, I just want to add a little
I like
context
them
because
thin.
what he
I
was
like
talking
bottom.
about, what he was talking about, he said the antebellum white man. That's something that's gone on throughout history. That's not unique to the United States. Um, Fetishizing about your property, your slaves. That's been something that's been going on. We can go back to Roman times. Oftentimes, the hardcore stuff, or even warming the man up, that was a duty that belonged to the slave and not the wife. So I would love to point at just the white man doing that here in the United States. That's not new. That's been going on since the beginning of time. And that's all I wanted to add. But for the most part, I agreed with what he was saying.
He used a poor case model. He used Malcolm X when he was Detroit Red. If you know the story of how his dad died and his mother was a white woman, that's breadcrumbs to how he became a pimp. The dysfunction. Then how the rest of the story played out about him finding the nation and finding clarity and finding his footing as a black man. That's history for us. So using him as an example without pointing out the trauma that got him to be Detroit Red, in my opinion, that's a man that lost his mom because she felt a mental illness once the dad got killed and by the good old rednecks, and she went crazy and he was displaced. Most pimps, they like control, or they're searching for something that they lost, that they think that they could relive in certain actions. And that's how he ended up being Detroit Red, because his mother was white, his dad was black. As for the story of today's women, the mantra, two mantras that stay heavy on my head when I walk by these sisters in New York. I said what I said. Who gonna check me, boo? Women have more rights today than they ever had. And if you try to offer correction, you're in a bad place if a woman can spin that in a way that where she can even make it seem that she's being vilified and oppressed.
That was a very, very good observation, Kenny. I'm sorry. That was a great observation.
Okay, so I've seen grooming women. I went by like this cookout. I seen grannies skill, and I'm like, what? It's like, how are we to reel them back when we don't have control of a woman like we once did in the past? As for showing structure, and I'm not saying there's a subsect of women that behave like that are now teaching other young girls to behave like that. You got your little daughters twerking, doing all kind of nasty with the spandex and all this. And if a man says something, what they do? They join in groups and say, leave her alone, or try to push you away from making the corrective suggestion during that period of time. I think we're in for bad times unless there's a mass movement of women that are buying in to getting things back normal, because our normal is girls shaking their butts, getting fake implants, looking like Miss Potato Heads, not listening to you. How many girls that you could even go on this internet and see that's fighting men, pulling guns on them, doing all kind of stupidness? There's a section of women that lack respect for us, and they also lack respect for themselves. I drop it off right there.
Can't protect what you can't correct what you can't protect.